Hello, everybody, and welcome into Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet, presented to you by Betway. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. The Juan Soto sweepstakes are heating up. I swear to God, that's the way that I've introed this freaking show for the last 3 to 4 weeks, but they are actually heating up right now.
Right.
We've got some recent reports coming out about the Boston Red Sox jumping in on this thing, looking like heavy favorites where nobody saw that coming initially. So we're going to break that down, as well as the drama surrounding all of that, because there was some wild stuff going on Twitter, about this entire situation. And of course, a couple other signings have happened in the MLB and various other tidbits of news. But before we get into all of that, and trust me, there is drama to be discussed. Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I mean, the Cardinals lost last night in heartbreaking fashion. You know, just a whole side note on, not to get too deep into football, but sports fans in general. When something goes wrong for the first time in a while, everybody seems to freak out and jump ship and blame this guy and blame that guy, even though the last 3 months that we've been doing this for football so far this season have been good. And then the one thing that goes wrong is fire this guy, trade Kyler Murray. You know, that's what it all is.
Is that what Cardinals
yeah,
Twitter
they're like,
is like
we
right now?
We got to get rid of Kyler Murray, when 2 weeks ago you were saying Kyler Murray's MVP. Like, what? Huh? And then it's like, Drew Pensing is, a great offensive coordinator. Oh, now we got to fire him. We have the best record we've had in 3 years, and now you want to fire our offensive coordinator. Anyway, I think it's funny. I woke up this morning, I'm like, guys, shut the hell up. You weren't expected to win this game anyways. You made it a lot closer. Sure, things could have gone differently, but you got to go and move on.
Well, that's the thing, right? In football especially, you got Victory Monday, or you also got Panic Monday.
Yeah,
you're dealing with Panic Monday.
People
right
are panicking,
now.
right?
Look, everyone wants to hit the red button and blow it all up.
Exactly. Dude, you win next week against the Seahawks. Boom, you're tied for first again.
You're all the way back. Exactly. Now, after that week, if you lose,
then
maybe
you can
we
really
can have.
panic.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
you can
That
panic.
can be a serious Panic Monday. But yeah, no, I hear you, dude. I do certainly hear you. That sports fans in general like to overreact. If that can be kind of the through line right there,
Yes.
which is very, very true, right? We've seen this across all sports, and we are seeing it right now with these Juan Soto sweepstakes. Let's backtrack a little bit. We got to go all the way back to last Thursday. It was American Thanksgiving, everybody. If you're American, you're watching or listening to this right now, I hope that you had a phenomenal holiday. This one guy kind of popped off. His name on Twitter is Beyond Average Mick. Just Mick is his name or whatever. And he I guess calls himself a Cape Cod insider. I don't really know what that means,
Cape Cod's a location.
I don't know that this is what's in his Twitter bio right here. But he knows Boston sports. That's kind of the moral of this whole thing. He broke, or was one of the first to break, the firing of Jim Montgomery, the Boston Bruins coach. That was a few weeks ago now. So I mean, he's got some connections. That can certainly be said. And apparently he is really utilizing those connections to make people upset. On Thursday, November 28th, he tweeted this out saying, "Breaking news, the Boston Red Sox have signed free agent outfielder Juan Soto. The terms of the deal are still unknown, but I'm hearing it's 12 years with no deferred money. Expect an official announcement to come within the next few days." Now, that's obviously very big, but we hear shit like this all the time.
Yeah, I think if you're on Twitter, you got to take your sources, especially these kind of sources, very, with 2 cents. You can't take it too seriously because, look, I mean, you're right. You hear this shit all the time. I heard this shit about, Shohei Ohtani to the Blue Jays. We heard this shit about, Aaron Judge to the Giants. And even more so. We've heard it from even more credible sources than a guy like Mick. Right, and he continued to double down, he's going in, right? He stands by his report that he's a Red Sox, and then the whole Jeff Passan thing happened, where just right after, when Twitter was blowing up, Jeff Passan put him in the ground, saying, I'm thankful for reporters who don't make up stories. This is, again, on Thanksgiving, so, sticking with the theme. And he's also saying that Juan Soto's not agreed to any contract, but then Mick, tripling down, quote tweets him saying, "Don't be an asshole because you got caught with your pants down, Soto to Boston." Yeah. So even though a credible source like Jeff Passan comes out and, denies it. He's still going down, and then he continued the next day saying that, like, well, word got out that, to the Boston,
PR
team that they were making a video of Juan Soto, like, coming to Boston. They were like, oh, crap, this was leaked, and then they had an emergency Zoom meeting, and one of the inside sources said, you nailed it. He's going to Boston. Like, I mean, what do you make of this? Because every time I hear this, I want to say you're full of shit.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Like, you hear this shit all the time from various people on Twitter. This guy has a bit more weight to him because we can agree, like, there are connections that he has to the Boston sporting world. That is true. How credible and how extensive these connections are, that's what I don't know, right? Yeah, you got you got that Jim Montgomery firing down. You did.
You got it.
That was with hockey, though. And that was, like, probably not as big of a break as Juan Soto signing to the Boston Red Sox, right? So are you saying that, like, your hockey sources translate immediately to, like, Juan Soto getting signed to a 10-year or 12-year type of deal? I don't know if that's the case or not. Now, to Mick's credit, he is sticking with it. He has got some serious conviction with this report. Even now, we're talking days, like almost a week later from when he initially broke this, he is still sticking to this, taking shots at everybody and anybody who takes a shot at him right now. Like, this guy he's taking shots at Gary Sheffield. He's he's claiming that Gary Sheffield did steroids and then went back on. I mean, like, we are just firing bullets right now.
And that's why, like, for me, you can't take him too seriously. Like, if he really had reputable sources like that, first of all, I think everybody else would figure it out. If he came out with it, I think other people are starting to come out with it too, like John Heyman and John Morosi and Jeff Passan. Like, other people are going to start to come out with it with something similar along the lines of, like, it's looking more likely that Juan Soto will sign with the Boston Red Sox or some shit like that we've seen in the past, right? I could believe, and I said this on our other podcast, Blue Jays Today, I could believe that there was a broken telephone line of, the Boston Red Sox have made a really aggressive offer, which we've been hearing from a lot of other more credible sources that the Boston Red Sox are making a very aggressive offer that is more than the Yankees. And then I could see somewhere down the line someone misinterpreting that or that, getting all broken telephony, and it gets to Mick and it's like, no, dude, the Boston Red Sox are getting him. They're getting him on this big deal for 12 years. And it's like, oh, shit. And then he breaks it. So, yeah, Mick might believe he's right. And I could believe, like, you'd have to be crazy or, like, just a compulsive liar to, like, make this kind of story up. But I think it's probably misinformation.
Well, yeah, like, for me, I go back to what you initially said there is, like, someone else would have got this story by now, right? And we are talking the day you had Thursday, you had all of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Monday now. That's 5 days. Are you telling me that John Heyman, John Morosi, Jeff Passan, Bob Nightingale, Hector Gomez, all of the above when it comes to MLB insiders, not a single one of you had one of your sources leak a little something? Because I haven't heard anything from them, right?
No.
We're talking 5. Like, I could believe it if, like, okay, he came out and then, 6 hours later, Jeff Passan or one of these other guys was like, looking like Soto's going to Boston.
Right, exactly.
Then it's like, okay, there is serious smoke to what is happening right now. But we're talking 5 days later.
In 5 days, he said in the coming days.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Yeah, and I thought that Soto was supposed to be in Boston this weekend.
Yeah, I thought that's what I heard too.
Is what he said, right? Where's the information on that? Where are the photos about Soto being in Boston? Look, all the credit to Mick. Like, you're taking your shot, all right? And again, it's still possible that you're going to be proven right, and we're going to talk about that more in a second. But to me, this feels like just a shot. And you might get lucky. You're spinning the roulette wheel. You might get lucky. And if you get lucky, congratulations. You won the Twitter lottery. You gained thousands of new followers. Because in the time frame that we've been following this story, he's gained like 2,000 followers.
Right, exactly.
And he will now have some serious credibility to him. So congratulations. You will have won the Twitter lottery. If he does not sign there and he does go to the Mets or the Yankees or the Blue Jays or wherever else, you're fucked.
Yeah, he's screwed anyways. That's what I was saying right before we started recording. I'm like, dude, just continue to, like, make shit up.
Like at this point, you've dug your grave so far that you're now all in. Yeah. You're all in on the Boston Red Sox signing Juan Soto. If he does not sign there, you're screwed, and if he does, you're gonna win big.
Yeah, and like again, to circle back, another reason why I think it's all misinformation is like, we heard from credible sources that he was taking last week to go through the second negotiation process with teams. How could he just sign already? Why would he just agree already?
It wouldn't make any sense.
When he hasn't heard from the Mets. Let's put those offers like together. Like let's start like putting the Red Sox offer on the table in front of the Mets and going, hey, beat this.
Yeah.
Let's take the time to do that. There's no
rush.
Exactly.
Like Mick kind of dropped this report, what would have been 24 or 48 hours after Soto would have received the offers from these teams.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that, like, what, he got this offer from the Red Sox that was so overwhelmingly good that we're not even going to try to negotiate with other teams because it's clear they can't beat this.
So dumb.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
And that's why I'm thinking it is because of I think it's a miscommunication of what, like, they offered a big contract and then he comes out with this.
Yeah.
Because then you also had Hector Gomez come out and Mike Rodriguez come out with, they heard an offer from the Red Sox being 12. I think
it was 13 years,
from Hector.
625.
Yeah, from Hector was that number. So it's like I think that's what it was. So which again is still a very big thing to report on.
Listen, that right there is something that I could believe. Now, are they off on a few $1 million with their reporting? Potentially, you never know with this shit. Like usually when the actual number comes out, it's a little different from what people were initially talking about.
Right.
But I think that the kind of the through line here is that the Boston Red Sox are a lot more in this race than people initially were giving them credit for. And I do think that, for the Hector Gomez's and the Mike Rodriguez's, I think that, where there's smoke, there's fire. They are probably in that 610, 620, 630, $640 million range for Juan Soto. I think that there's a lot of things to like about the Red Sox if you're Juan Soto. You got Devers locked up for time. You are a historical franchise. You are a big market team. Like, there's just a lot of things that feel good if you're Soto. So, yes, the Red Sox are very much in on this thing. No, I don't think that he has already agreed on a deal.
Right. And it's funny. What's the one comparison that Juan Soto gets a lot in his career to a very, very good.
It's Williams, right?
Ted Williams, right? Guess where he played? Boston. Guess what he batted? Left. And he had quite phenomenal years in Boston as a lefty through his age 27, 28, 29, 30 seasons. He batted with an OPS well over 1.1
Wow.
OPS.
I mean, if I'm the Boston Red Sox, like I'm in the meetings, I'm kind of pulling up the comparisons here. It's like, listen, you want to be one of the best of all time? Come over here, man. We'll make it happen.
We will, right? And so you mentioned about them being a very serious competitor, and this I have a little bit more weight to. We have someone named Randy Miller from New Jersey or NJ.com. He went on the WFAN airwaves. I've never heard of that. It's probably somewhere in New Jersey, New York area. And he came out and he was saying that he heard that the Yankees fear the Red Sox more than anybody because of how competitive their offer. He goes on to mention that the Yankees only have a cap of $550 million. Like that's the range they're capping, and he believes that there may be 2 or 3 offers on the table for Soto that are already over $600 million. So with that being said, like it really feels like, to kind of transition about that, like the Yankees are falling out and the Red Sox are more of a favorite than we thought. Like it could be between the Mets and the Red Sox. Like that's what it feels like. Those are the two horses in this race.
Well,
right
I
now.
mean, if there is truth to 550 being the limit for the Yankees, then I mean, I could have told you months ago that it was done, guys. Right?
Yeah,
like unless you come up with a new and creative way, right? Like unless you go crazy here and you decide to give him a 2-year deal for $150 million, and it's
well, I mean, they did come out with a report saying that they offered a contract that had potentially some incentive or not incentives, opt-outs.
Yeah,
because that's what he was looking for.
Yeah,
so that could be the other way to.
That's the thing, right? Like I'm sure that there are creative ways to go about it to incentivize Juan Soto to look again at that offer, but you're just playing behind the 8 ball a little bit when that's your glass ceiling, because these other guys are willing to go further, and theoretically they could offer the exact same thing as you, but with just more money. So you're really gonna have to you're playing from behind if you're the New York Yankees, even though you just went to the World Series with this guy, which is crazy to say.
Right.
But it's not like the Red Sox are a terrible team, and it's not like the Mets are going to be a bad team. Like, I think if both of those guys get Juan Soto, playoffs are going to be in their future for both squads. So, yeah, I mean, from the Yankee standpoint, not a great spot to be in right now. If you are a Red Sox fan, though, holy shit. If you can steal away, the new rising New York Yankees star from them and bring him over to Fenway Park, that is like twisting the knife, man.
Yeah, I was telling you, I was just started to watch the comeback on Netflix with the Boston Red Sox 2014.
This would be revenge.
This is revenge for Alex Rodriguez. You know? Like, this is everything that they want.
20 years later, right? Because that was like 2004, right?
Years, 20 years ago.
So 20 years later, we will get our revenge with Juan Soto coming over here. I mean, they are going to have their work cut out for them, though. Like, as much as I think that the fit does make a lot of sense right there, I think that the media, not that they're sleeping on Steve Cohen and the Mets, but I think that we've talked so much about Steve Cohen and the Mets from a media standpoint that it's actually more interesting right now, and to write stories about how the Red Sox are coming up than how the New York Mets are still favorited. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing with the Blue Jays last year. It's like more people thought it'd be interesting, I guess maybe from our perspective because we're Jays fans, that like Ohtani's going to pick this like underdog team and not go to the Dodgers, the big house team, big powerhouse team. But it still feels like inevitably we're going to get all this reports of Red Sox. Maybe this is my PTSD and trauma, but we're going to get all these reports of Red Sox, oh my God, it looks so good. They're offering all this money. Wow, they're like right there neck and neck, and then boom, Mets.
Yeah, because like think about it again. We're content creators and everything like that. Well, think about it from a content creator and journalism standpoint. Which article is going to get you more clicks? The one that says Steve Cohen and the New York Mets heavily favorited to sign Juan Soto.
We know this.
Or the one that says Boston Red Sox, like sneaky underdog turning into Juan Soto juggernaut, question mark. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of shit where everyone's like, oh my God, well, got to click on this, right?
Even if I'm a Met fan, I'm like, oh, what? I thought we were the favorites.
Everybody is going to be looking at that, and being like, oh gosh. So I feel like there is an element of just like the storytelling part of this, and you're right, we do see this every offseason because all these baseball fans are like itching for any type of baseball content, and these are the storylines that we get to follow, and the insiders and journalists like kind of spin us this tale of what it is, and it all ends up being what we all thought it would be eventually.
Yeah, you know what? I love it. I love these off seasons, man. Like the last
I want sorry to cut you off, but I just want one of these times for it to actually be the team that we didn't think it would be.
Like, this is the third off season in a row. Like, I was trying to think back to the one before that. I don't think there was anyone major, but this is the third off season in a row where you had like Aaron Judge, you had Shohei Ohtani, and then you had Juan Soto, like three of the best players in baseball.
Like the offseason prior to that, was it Freeman? Was he?
Oh, Freeman. It was Freeman, but not nearly as paid as much as those guys.
Not the same caliber, I'd say, as the three that we're referring to here. Like it feels like every offseason you get like a star of some kind, but the last three have been like, okay, well, all these guys could be Hall of Famers,
guys,
and like in their prime still.
And that's what makes people go crazy. It's like, oh my God, this is like franchise changing, right?
Yes.
So it feels like the last three off seasons have been so much fun to watch, and there was always that element of like, there's a sneaky underdog and to steal them away from the team that they're expected to go to.
And it never happened. Or it hasn't happened. You never know, right? Boston could still pull this out. As a Toronto Blue Jay fan, I'm just hoping that he goes to the Mets at this point. It's feeling like the Blue Jays are starting to fall further and further out of the race. And maybe that's just because people aren't reporting on it and the story is Boston. At this point, I think that they're still in the race, but I think that it was just always going to be a long shot. And
like Randy Miller said in that report, like there could be 2 or 3 offers over 600. I can believe the Jays are one of them, but it's just like we're here.
Yeah.
We're not really commanding anything.
That's the thing, right? Like, if you were going to win the Juan Soto sweepstakes, you had to walk in and, like, literally lay your dick on the table and just, like, take the room by storm, right?
Yeah.
And like, you had to go in doing that much more than the other guys, and it doesn't sound like that's what they're doing right now. Who knows? I mean, again, like we're in the Boston side of the story right now. I'm sure by next week it'll we'll be over here and it'll be another aspect of the story that they're telling, right?
But well, that's a good thing to mention right here. I mean, next week is literally winter meetings. December 8th is when I believe it begins, like the nighttime, and then 9th, the full day, 10th, 11th. Draft lottery on the 10th, so I'll be super excited for those
really
bad
exciting,
teams like the Jays. So, yeah, I mean, there'll be lots of things are going to be coming out for sure in the next week or so. I really do hope that we get a decision by sometime next week, and we can all move on and look at other free agents.
Yes, yeah. Well, speaking of other free agents, we are starting to get a couple different signings go on. You got the New York Mets staying active, right? We were talking about, well, the one thing that the New York Mets need to get over, even if they do get Juan Soto, is making sure that rotation has people who can eat up innings. Now, I'm not saying that this guy is a guarantee to do that, but he has certainly had some significant success in the past. Bit of a roller coaster for him the last couple of years, bouncing between so many different teams. Literally. Feels like he needs to find his forever home. I'm talking about Frankie Montas right now. He signed a 2-year deal with the New York Mets, $34 million. This feels like the type of move that the Mets need to make. They kind of built their rotation from the ground up last year with a bunch of guys who, similar to Frankie Montas, have been good in the past, have also had some bad years.
Sean Manaea, Luis Severino.
Exactly. It's like we've shown promise, but we're not a guarantee. Same with Frankie Montas here. So it feels like they're trying to do the exact same strategies again. And, for a deal like this, this certainly doesn't take you out of the Juan Soto sweepstakes at all. In fact, I would say that it, helps your chances, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree, right? Like, he was traded from the Oakland Athletics. Remember he got traded to the Yankees?
Yes.
And he had a 3.18 ERA when he got traded midseason to the Yankees, and he sucked.
Because I think he got hurt, remember?
And then he got hurt at the beginning of 2023. And then he didn't play all year. And then he signs a 1-year deal with the Reds. Kind of still sucked. Got traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. Had not a good year. A 4.84 ERA, whip of 1.367. So maybe the Mets have a chance to turn him around, and they're going to need it because I looked up the Mets depth chart. This is sad, dude. They literally, in their depth chart, so like this can go beyond the starting 5, like whatever starters they have on their 40-man roster, they only have 3 starters on their 40-man roster. This will be the 4th one added. They have Kodai Senga, David Peterson, and Paul Blackburn. That's it.
Yeah,
and then they added Frankie Montas.
Yeah, and that again, that's gonna need help. And this is like, look, they're doing the right thing, right? Like they have to go out and they have to get multiple guys. It was never gonna be a one guy fixes all when you only have 3 guys on the depth chart. Like you can go out and you can get Corbin Burns, but there's
who's gonna pitch game 5.
Yeah, exactly, right. Like we're gonna play more than 4 games this year, guys. So you will need another guy.
Yeah.
And this could be that dude, right? So I think that the New York Mets are doing the right thing. I would imagine that you're gonna see another deal similar to this one with another Frankie Montas type of player, somebody that's got promise, that isn't going to command a crazy contract, but if all the stars align, like they could be great. And the same thing can be said for Frankie Montas.
Well, I think and this is actually a good point that this guy brought up in the Twitter, Mark Feinstein's tweet about Frankie Montas, is that this is probably a move to try and sweeten the deal for Juan Soto.
And it certainly could be as well, right?
Because, like, if you have nobody, at least this is getting somebody, and they needed it anyway. So, like, you go out and get this guy really easily. The bigger guys are going to be harder to convince because they're trying to get their big contracts. But if you can try and get, like, a Fried or a Burns in the next week, that could make the deal like pretty much finalized. If I'm so like, okay, great, you did it.
Yeah,
that's my
exactly.
big concern.
Yeah, you're doing it right now. You're making it happen, and I mean, like again, like same thing can be said for the Red Sox, right? Like maybe you guys got to go out and you got to do something right now. But I mean, again, we always knew that Steve Cohen was going to be as active as all holy hell, and this is just the first move of probably many.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, speaking of Juan Soto, we actually just got John Morosi saying on MLB Network that he believes Juan Soto is going to be signing within the next 10 days. So, winter meetings.
Oh,
winter meetings.
Oh, baby.
That's pretty big.
Here we go. I mean, we always knew it was going to be that time frame anyways, but yeah, here we go, man.
Here we go. Let's get it done, man. I'm so excited. I love it. So yeah, that was just that took me a little bit off guard right there, but sick. Get ready, guys. Hopefully we can go do a live stream. Probably I don't know if we'll do a live stream here or on Blue Jays today, but we'll figure something out.
We'll definitely figure. I mean, again, like that is the big storyline this offseason. As much as I want it to be over, I also know the second that it is over, it's like, all right, well now I'm ready for 2025 baseball.
Me too.
The second
man.
that storyline's over, right?
Like it honestly, it's gonna. It's like I'm watching the Cardinals right now. I'm just stressed out the entire time. Just end this. Just find a way to end this.
Yeah.
Just get this over with. I know we're probably gonna lose out on the Juan Soto, but I want to move on to other things right now. I wanna go get me my Max Fried and all blah 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 blah. I want to go build the team another way.
Well, the Cubs right now, they're trying to build their thing up. They also got a 2-year deal done with an aging pitcher. Matthew Boyd, $29 million right there. I mean, he's had some good years in the past. He's also had some terrible years in the past. It feels like somebody that kind of similar to Frankie Montas. Like he's been all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, his one really good year, other than last year, he got hurt. He only played 8 games, but his one really good year he had that had a good sample size was in 2021, where he had 78 innings, 3.89 ERA, and those were all starts. He looks like he's been hurt quite a lot.
That's the thing, man. Like you look at this guy's baseball's reference page, and there was a 3-year stretch there where he was eating innings, and then it's just like injury, just serious injuries.
Other than 2020, because that was the COVID year, he played 12 starts, which I think was a full season. He pitched 78 innings, 13 innings, 71 innings, 39 innings. But his 39 innings in Cleveland were very solid. 1.1 ERA. I remember him looking decent, and people being like, "Oh, like Matthew Boyd, he's figuring out in Cleveland." And then he didn't. He got hurt. So we'll see what he does with the Cubs. But this feels like build up that rotation, because their rotation isn't that deep either. They lost Kyle Hendricks, right? So they lost Marcus Stroman the year prior. Just build it up a little bit and see what you can do. I don't even know what the Cubs are trying to do, honestly. They feel like a weird, we're trying to compete, but like we don't have enough superstars to get us over the edge kind of thing.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot right now if you're the Chicago Cubs. Like there's stuff to like about that team, but there's also just not enough, and we haven't seen the results yet. I think they are just kind of hoping that one of these years some of all the stars are going to kind of align, and they're going to get a bunch of these guys like popping off at the same time, which hasn't happened yet.
Okay, I mean the rotation's not bad. I mean they got Imanga. He was very good last year. Justin Steele, he got hurt a little bit, but like he's very solid. Jameson Tyon's like just a guy. Assad, I don't even know. Like it feels like they need a little bit more depth in that in that rotation. But yeah, I mean their team is kind of just good, but nothing really over convincing. They had Pete Crow Armstrong, that was a good solid like rookie last year. Hopefully they can build up that. Seiya Suzuki, Cody Bellinger, that's actually something that they're trying to trade Cody Bellinger right now.
And I get that. I do. Like, Cody Bellinger is not worth the money. We were talking about this like a couple podcasts ago, but Cody Bellinger is just a lottery ticket. And, like for a Chicago Cubs team right now that doesn't know really what their identity is, I don't think they have the luxury of paying for a lottery ticket. They want sure things. They want guys that are going to come in and provide value for the money that they're paying them for. Cody Bellinger is going to get paid $27.5 million this coming year. You could eat, like, think about how many other guys that you could have. Like, I would argue that, Pete Alonso is going to get paid roughly the same average annual value, right?
Who would you rather have?
Exactly.
I mean, Cody Bellinger's not a bad defender, too. He can play a little bit of center.
Look, don't get me wrong. Cody Bellinger's not a bad player, but for the money that he's getting paid, he's not worth it. It's just, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking also, too, at their payroll right now. They got a really high payroll. They paid $229 million worth of... So, like, there's not even like they have really room to, like, add on another star, because they've committed to Cody Bellinger. They committed to Dansby Swanson. Remember that deal?
Yes, I do. That's a bad one.
Yeah, like he's getting paid $26 million. Granted, great defender. 4 WAR last year, but the bat is literally below average at 98 OPS plus. The year before, when he signed his first year, was 104 OPS plus. Like, the bat's not anything special. You're paying for a glove for $26 million. Like, no, thank you, man. Like, I love defense and all, but not for $26 million. And then Ian Happ's getting paid a lot. Seiya Suzuki, $21 million. Jameson Tyone, $18 million. Kyle Hendricks was on the books last year for $16 million. So Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And like you said, you're paying a lot of money for a lot of defense, and you need some guys to come out here and to hit bombs. That was supposed to be what Cody Bellinger did, right? Like in the season prior with the Cubs, he was great offensively speaking, and then this past year kind of fell back to earth a little bit, and you roll the dice with him, right? I don't know where he's going to end up. I think that, he certainly deserves an opportunity to play at the major league level and to, be in the top part of a lineup. Who that's going to be, I don't know. If I was a team like the Yankees, for instance, where money wasn't as big of a factor for me, like it still is, but it's not as big, then I think that is a lottery ticket that I'm pretty interested in, because I think that, with my short porch and, all that stuff, being in Yankee Stadium, playing good defense. Maybe if we do lose Juan Soto, well, this is a lottery ticket or a dart throw that I could get behind.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that there's a couple other teams out there that I could look at and be like, okay, this might work. Even the Toronto Blue Jays, for instance, look, I don't really want to pay the $27.5 million, and I don't think it's super worth it. But they do have a lot of money, and they don't have a lot of offense, and if you're gonna miss out on Soto, well, maybe you fire this bullet off. But
yeah, like the Blue, literally, I got MLB trade rumors. They came up with 4 best fits, and Blue Jays, Yankees were one of them, and the other 2 were Astros and Phillies. And Phillies being, well, they want a better defensive outfield, and they are not been shy of saying they want to restructure their whole offense this winter. Maybe that could be something to spark it up. And then the Astros, they could be losing Alex Bregman, and that's just another kind of replacement bat, and put a little bit more power in that outfield. So
and I think that all of those make a lot of sense for me. I think that the Cubs are just, regretting that contract a little bit as to how much money they did decide to shell out for him, and I get it. So, I mean, you got to find a trade partner. I don't know how, again, I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, how much he's going to get. No idea, because, you are talking about somebody who's getting older in age and then also is a lottery ticket and a lot of money. So I don't think that you're really going to nab that much prospect capital here. But if you're really just looking to shake some stuff up and, save some money and maybe invest that dollar amount elsewhere, then I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's going to be 29 next year, and he's been okay. I mean, again, like, we went through this. Literally, he has every number of every OPS that start. Like, you literally have an OPS of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like, throughout your career, like, those are all the beginning numbers of all the different OPSs you had in your career. So you're all over the place. So, I mean, I'd be interested. Yeah, a big market team could probably afford it. Whereas, Cubs probably want to spend their money wisely. Let's give a quick shout out here, everybody, to the sponsor of this podcast, Betway. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to join the action. Available in Ontario only. Must be 18 plus, and please play responsibly. It is Monday night football. You've got the Denver Broncos hosting the Cleveland Browns. Browns had a very fun win last week against those Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Denver Broncos are shockingly looking like a team that has a very good shot to make the playoffs this year if they keep on rolling, and they got to definitely win tonight to make that narrative happen. The odds are obviously heavily favored Broncos. You got the money line of 1.38 versus Browns of 3.25, but the spreads are a lot closer. -6.5 spread for the Broncos. That is a multiplier of 1.95, and Browns 6.5 plus with a multiplier of 1.87. What are you thinking about tonight for this game?
Well, I mean, I think that, the Broncos are, they should be favorited. And who's at home?
It is the Broncos.
Broncos are at home?
Yeah, favored at home against the Browns. No more. I'm assuming there's no snow. I don't know. It's Denver. You never know.
Like, I think, honestly, the smart money is to pick the Broncos here, but part of me really likes Jameis Winston and just like the energy that he brings to that team. I think that this game might be a bit closer than people are giving it credit for. So if there is like some type of alternate spread where you can give the Browns, 10 points or something like that, then I think that actually might make sense.
Yeah, I mean, you can do one for, it's not going to be up right here, but -10.5 or a +10.5 is a multiplier of 1.44. I don't know.
I don't love that. That's the thing.
Either.
Like, I wish that I got a bit more of a payout if I'm going to put money on the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you could say plus 6.5 for 1.87. That's closer. But guys, let us know what you think in the chat. Again, scan the QR code right here to download the app. Please play responsibly, everybody.
Let's move on and talk a little bit about those Toronto Blue Jays, who apparently they could be looking at Pete Alonso, former New York Met, looking increasingly likely that he's not going to return to that team just because, they obviously have other fish to fry right now, which makes sense. But Pete Alonso is still a very valuable player nonetheless, right? You're talking about somebody who never doesn't hit 30 bombs. In fact, his worst year, and I'm not including 2020, obviously, but his worst year when it comes to home runs was last year when he hit 34.
Wow. Yeah.
Every other season he has hit more than that. This is somebody that you sign him. He's going to be 30 years old next year. I think that you can actively say, like, there should be several seasons left of, elite Pete Alonso power. I think that, you sign him to a deal where you expect 30 home runs as the floor and 50 is the ceiling, and I would anticipate that there's going to be a couple of years in there where, you do get close to that ceiling.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm looking at his baseball savant, too. I'm trying to figure out, why did his power kind of go down last year? And there's no reason. I mean,
there was a lot of strikeouts
There
last
was a lot of strikeouts for sure, but he had his great bat speed. That's another new stat kind of on baseball savant that I really like. So he's swinging it. He's got great bat speed. He's barreling the ball, still really good. He still has an expected slugging at the 82nd percentile. So for me, there's no real reason or why he is doing what he's doing, right? And I mean, the Blue Jays, the big question that a lot of fans have or people have on, why are the Blue Jays going to get Pete Alonso when they already have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first base? Well, I think there's a couple reasons here. One, you just need to get a bat because you need power in that lineup desperately, and you're going to find a way to make it happen. Now, what do I do about the first bag position? Well, there's a DH spot. I mean, they don't really have a DH. The last couple of years, they've put in, Brandon Belt and Justin Turner. Well, why not put Pete Alonso and just make him an everyday slugger? Or vice versa. Put Vladdy there. Maybe they split the position, get them off their feet a couple times. You can do that. Plus, I know people don't like this, but Vladdy could go play a little bit of third base. He did that a little bit last year, and it wasn't the worst thing ever that a lot of people imagine. So you're going to find a way to put that guy in the lineup to help out the Jays. And plus, I just thought of this right now. What if you don't sign Vladdy back? This is your first baseman now.
Yeah, no, and that's actually a very valid point, too. I think that's something that no one is thinking about. But, it does give you that insurance, that backup plan. And honestly, maybe it even gives you a little bit of leverage when you go to the table to talk to Guerrero and be like, okay, well, we don't need to give you $450, because we do have our guy right now locked up. Not saying that I want them to do that,
please don't
but,
do that.
You got to think about it this way. Right. So, yeah, I think it makes a lot more sense than people are giving it credit for. And I think that there is just a way that you figure out how to get Pete Alonso and how to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the same lineup together. I think that the Toronto Blue Jays, they are going to be up against, though, the New York Yankees in these sweepstakes. Yeah. And if I was a New York Yankee executive right now, then this is somebody that I'm looking at hard. You know that they need a first baseman. It's looking increasingly likely that the New York Mets and the Boston Red Sox are pulling away right now in the Juan Soto sweepstakes. And if you know that better than anyone. How in are you? Yeah. Okay, you have to really, take a step back, look at the mirror, and be like, okay, are we going to get this guy? Maybe, but maybe we should be planning for the alternative here. And I think that the alternative should be Pete Alonso if you're a New York Yankees fan.
Yeah, because they lost, or they didn't lose. They cut Anthony Rizzo, which I think is a right move. That guy was aging. He was hurt. He's getting up there in age. So I think they really, if they don't get Juan Soto and it's looking like they don't, turn that $550 that you're going to spend on him into three guys. We've heard reports of they want to go get Fried, and then they also want to get a Willie Adames in that middle infield, and then maybe Pete Alonso. Go do that. That's the way to get. That's how you get this Yankee team back, and I think even better than anticipated.
Yeah, Completely agree, man. Let's give a quick shout out to another sponsor of this video, Greta Bar, everybody. It is the spot if you have any interest at all in just going out, watching some sports with your friends, playing some games, some retro arcade games. Then Greta Bar, located in downtown Toronto, is the place to do it.
It is. We're almost done this podcast. That was kind of all the topics that we had here, everybody. But John Morosi actually just came out with a tweet. There's a lot of tweets going out right now saying that he's hearing that the Cubs are one of the most active teams in the industry on bullpen arms. Good names are available via trade and free agency. That's the thing. Like, we actually haven't heard a lot of bullpen guys haven't really going off the board. I thought that'd be kind of like the first target of this offseason for a lot of teams. Maybe I'm thinking that for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, just go. This is how I would run the team. Just go shore up your bullpen. Like, that's your biggest problem. Don't F around with that. Like, it doesn't matter if you go get Juan Soto. If you don't have a good bullpen, you are going to lose games.
Yeah, I agree, man. The bullpen, like the way that it's handled in free agency, is always interesting to me because, yeah, you're right. Typically, actually, I don't think that's true. I think a lot of times I find like bullpen arms take a while to go off the board, and it's like you see these big time free agents go first, and then they go, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with because like regardless of whether or not you get the big time name, you're still gonna need the bullpen arm anywaes.
Right,
so you're still gonna need to get that guy.
Yeah.
So you just go ahead and get him.
It's one of those things where it's like, like does one thing need to happen for another thing to happen? Or it's like, when I'm thinking about Juan Soto and him and the New York Mets, like we brought up earlier, well, they need he needs to see that you have a competent team first before he makes his decision. Like, you can't just tell him like, oh no, we'll do it. It's like, it's one thing to say you're going to do it, another thing to say, well, we did it, let's go do it. But then I think about from the like a bullpen guy perspective, like, does it make sense for me to sign early? Is my value going to be higher if I sign early or later? Like, if there's a team desperate enough to just put the bag in front of me and then I take it, or if I wait too long, do I become less valuable? And people are like, well, we don't really need you because we already got a bunch of guys, so I'm willing to pay you less. So, like, which one is the right way to go about it?
What do you think about giving bullpen guys like, $100 million?
I think, Edwin Diaz, for example, was one of those guys that got paid $100 million. Like, and I agree. I mean, look, they don't get the WAR like a starting pitcher does, or a first position player or whatever. But for me, it's like you're so rare. It's the same thing with like Juan Soto. You can match up the WAR with how much he's going to get paid right now, and it's like it might not make sense. You might go buy some other guys, but for me, it's like because you are a commodity and one of a kind, then it makes sense to pay up because you are so special. You know what I mean? It's like in fantasy drafting an RB, a running back, right? Because like, yeah, sure, some of these RBs might not get as much fantasy points as some of these wide receivers, but because you are so rare, I'm willing to spend a little bit more.
Yeah, and I get that. I just think that there is a certain volatility when it comes to bullpen arms,
right.
And I guess like if you are going to give that money out, like you got to make sure that it is the guy, right?
Yeah, like Emmanuel Clase.
Yes, and that's the thing. I feel like that guy is just a different tier and a different caliber than like so many other bullpen arms. And you know what? If he's asking for 100, I give him 100. He's asking for 120, I give him 120. You know what I mean? It's like whatever. Honestly, that guy will break the market whenever it is time.
Yeah, actually, he's gonna be free agent in 2027, so it won't be for a while.
Got to keep it up, though.
Yeah, like I mean, I think if anyone's got a chance to keep it up, it's gonna be this guy. Dude, he had an ERA plus of 674.
What?
600. He was 674 times better than the average MLB player.
That's kind of fucky.
That's kind of fucked up. He had a WAR of 4.5 as a closer. Like, that's the kind of guy I'm giving.
I give that. I mean, I might give you more than that. Actually,
yeah, I'm giving you 150 to start with. Like, that's insane.
Folks, let us know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. Hopefully we get some more news and more updates from our buddy Mick over there on Twitter about the Juan Soto sweepstakes. I'm sure that he is kind of shitting his pants right now, just hoping that this happens.
He's hoping and praying, guys. But let us know in the chat. Hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Cheers.